Well, I need to welcome you to another lovely edition of Quest Today. The Friday edition it is. And now, come on, what better way for us to kickstart it rather than being with us right here on Quest. But anyway, I need to welcome you. My name is Michael Gobadia. And every lovely Friday like today, we always have interesting things for you to enjoy from now to later around 10:30. It's always interesting to see. We always enjoy starting with the papers, and that's what we're going next, as much as we wait later for the big story and definitely Sport Shuffle. But you do know, every time we tend to do this, especially on a lovely Friday morning, I'm never alone. I always have them right here, and we're being called or tagged the newspaper gang. But anyway, our gang is a good one, so don't be scared. No bandit ravaging around where we are. But anyway, I need to welcome my co-bandits, and we're talking about the newspaper bandits and gang. I'm talking about our very head, Comrade FM&TV, and my colleague Miriam. Good morning to you, Miriam, and Comrade FM&TV. A beautiful Friday morning.
Well, I'm not a bandit.
You're already afraid.
I'm not a bandit.
Well, anyways, as much as you say that, anyways, to the newspaper gang we are, and a lovely one. But anyway, for review today, we have 5 papers. We have the Daily Trust, definitely the Punch is here. The Vanguard is definitely making its return, as much as we love to get the Guardian and also the Nation. But let me quickly start and first go straight to the Daily Trust, as you trust us, or rather trust being with us all through the period. But anyway, on the Daily Trust this morning, the leading story reads, War on Gaza, Israeli-Hamas ceasefire begins today. And I know a lot of persons who will really show that sign of relief. And kickers or riders to that, 50 Israeli hostages and 150 Palestinians for release. Israeli forces launch fresh attack ahead truce. And Nigeria, several others reject selective application of international laws as West Israel not ready for two-state solution. Palestine envoy saying that. But I'll just implore you to continue that story and read more of it on page 4. But let's continue with others, and that on the next page 5. Alleged terrorism financing, federal government orders probe of correctional service officers. And that is coming after the revelation made by the chief of defense staff, Musa. Kaduna farmers in dilemma as bandit impose levies before harvest. Wow. That will also add to the food insecurity we're going with already. And page 3 has that story. Kano residents panic as APC set for mass rally tomorrow. And we just hope the needed authorities will do so much to avert any crisis. But get that story on page 10. Nigeria drifting into health sector. Nigeria drifting in health sector, says NEC. And man bags life imprisonment for sodomy in Jigawa. And you can get that story on page 29. Kogi freezes state local government account. Wow. And the reason for that, you might just really have to check it up on page 26. But the picture of the day is that of a displaced Palestine waiting in line as volunteers distribute a hot meal in southern Gaza Strip yesterday. Well, that's the much you can take from the Daily Trust.
Okay, the next paper for review this morning will be the Guardian newspaper. And on the front page of the Guardian, the major headline there says, High Up X and Harsh Environment, Hobble Industrial Revival and Jobs. Added to that is the picture below. We can see the exchange rates there on the black market, as well as the interest rates. I had a headline that says, between 2015 and 2023, the manufacturing sector lost over 200 players. But do want to get more on this story on page 4 and 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving away from that, says Nigeria ranks 144 out of 163 in safest country ranking for 2023. You can get all of that on page 20 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving to the international scene, Israel and Hamas war, death toll of Palestinians 14,200, says Ambassador. You can read more details on that on page 3. We're coming back over here to Nigeria. It says reps panel probes 62 billion naira HIV and AIDS intervention funds. You can get more details on that on page 7. Nigeria loses $10 billion yearly to imported welders, Minister laments, is one you can get on page 3. And also still on page page 3 of the Guardian. Jega, Babachair and others reflect on INEC and 2023 elections amid fresh appeal court verdicts. And also the final headline I'm making it to the front page of the Guardian this morning say military deactivates 50 illegal oil refining sites and arrest 51 suspects. You can get more details on that on page 8, and that's much we can take on the front page of the Guardian newspaper.
Well, the Punch will be the next paper for us to quickly look at today, as we really look at the papers. And on the Punch this morning, which is usual puncher, NNPCL ends fall import December of 2024, project 4.5 trillion revenue. And well, Nigerians will be having a sign of relief if that really happens. But kickers or riders to that, fuel importation, shipping costs, port levies will stop, says Ipman and NNPCL boss. And Kyari insists on December deadline for Port Harcourt refinery repairs as Speaker demands privatization. But anyway, prioritize that gist and go read it up on page 2. But let's quickly get some other ones. Tinubu has sent bill on local military equipment production. It's a cheering one on page 41. And government official prison warders aiding Boko Haram. And well, you can get that story up on page 9. And federal government states plan 18 million agri jobs as $1.5 billion funds. And you can really read up that story on page 2. But let's get to that story just beneath the picture of the day. Cash trunk worsens as food spending drops by 3 trillion. And Comrade Odomo, I know you also stated this yesterday, that going to the banks now, it's always difficult to get cash. But anyway, catching on that story on page 35. Although police arrest housemaid and son over killing of boss, is a very disturbing one on page 5. And Juson Oshun chapter on collision course with anti-CJ protest. And then we don't protest on that, but get that story on page 40. Well, a story that's on page 43, and also the picture of the day, is that of Nigerian Air Force decorate 12 combat pilots vows tough time for terrorists. And now they know we are coming. But anyway, that's the much you can take from the Punch.
Okay, the next paper for review is the Nation newspaper. And on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning, the major headline reads, States and FCT owe federal government 1.72 trillion naira budget support cash. The writer there says sub-nationals to pay back 49 billion naira each. And program terminated is also there on is another writer there making it on the front page. But do also get more stories on that on page 4 after reading on the front page of the Nation. Moving above the masthead, appeal court voids tribunal verdict sacking Sule is making it to page 28. And also still on page 28, PDP governors confident Lawal and Mufwang will get justice. Yes, moving away from that, we have Lasma GM Oreagba removed in shake-up. There's an interesting one there also on the front page, but you can continue that story on page 28 as well. NPA, Nimasa and Niwa sign performance bond with minister is making it to page 7. But what you get on page 27 of the Nation, say court remands or your monarch. Yes, you can get more details on that on page 27 as I stated earlier. And still on page 27, Ogun to begin building of CNG bus station. Yes. Moving on, Tinubu to decide on Minister Lalong Senate seat. The writer that says ex-governor picks certificate of return. You can do auto read the story on the front page and continue on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. And also moving down below, Juson Disons Oshun chapters strike over government's row with CJ. Yes, and that was the final headline on the front page of the Nation newspaper, but you can read all of that on page 27. That's what you can take on the front page of the Nation.
Well, the Vanguard will be the last paper for us to quickly look at. And on the Vanguard this morning, NBS report, families spend more as inflation persists. And well, I just want to say that's the truth. And you understand why. The writers to that says, records 3.3 rise in the second quarter of 2023. Families shifted towards recurrent rather than savings. Wow, an investment, ex-CIS boss. And worsening capital as a fiscal summit must have played a role, said ID Africa. But anyway, just to get more of that story on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. Let's take other ones. Boko Haram. Federal government proved prison warders alleged connivance with terrorists. It's a major one that is also making the rounds on page 11, or 41 of the Vanguard. Nasarawa Pit Court reverses sack of Governor Sule, and you can understand that on page 32 rather. We have roadmap to tackle challenge in educational sector, says Tinubu. And let's see if we take other leading stories, just beneath the picture of the day. Northern elders express concern over conduct of judiciary, and you can really read up that story on page 8. Kano, Yoruba community begs Tinubu Obasanjo to intervene in political crisis. It's a major one on page 32. And 2023 AFCON, blow for Super Eagles as Awoni is set to miss out. A very sad one here, had a groin injury in our last match with Lesotho. But anyway, page 47 has more of that story. The picture of the day is more of a sponsored one, and that's winners emerge at the Zenith Bank Tech Fair. But that's that. But let's take a bit of Mr. and Mrs. As usual, Mrs. always the ladies first. Are you saying I cannot get anything I want from you at any time? Mrs. is asking. And Mr. said, I am only saying offer valid while stock lasts. And I will only tell him in the night he will know whether offer valids only when stock lasts. But that's the much you can take there, and honestly, that's the much you can take from the papers. It's only right we now go straight to it, and we talk about getting those reactions and calls from you guys. The number has not changed. It still remains 08022931931. As much as you can reach us right here on 081-888-88931. But remember, please turn down the volume of your radio or TV set, or better still walk away from where it is. And just stick with the items on the dailies, one each, so others can also have their views. Hello, good morning to you. Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning.
This is Henry from Mosuga.
Henry from Mosuga, always a regular. Please go.
Unless terrorism, financing, federal government, federal troop of correctional centers head,
yes,
Thanksgiving head.
Yeah.
Now we could look at the last time when they invaded this prison in Abuja last time, and so people were free. So it's a very good point. Because a time ago, the minister, one minister said that they are not going to probe the financial, but what they think they are going to probe them in a very good direction.
Okay.
Then again, another elders concern about judicial decisions.
Yes.
There is because the way they are doing it now, I think God will say something. The president said there's a political error, so that they don't set it feel like Kano is very volatile.
Yeah.
We don't want to say that they will just come up because the people are afraid of the revolution.
Okay.
They did not start that place. Finally, one Gaza this today, and both prisoners and hostages. We don't feel like the world leaders should really facilitate this ceasefire so that there is peace in that place. Have a good day, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Harry. Well, you had to run through some major headlines on the dailies, 3 in itself. But let's see if we take more calls. Miriam.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, welcome aboard. Your name and your location, please.
Mr. Friday, calling from Izabono.
All right, Mr. Friday, please have your say.
Thank you. 5 arrested in an illegal refinery or something like that.
Oh, yes, we
I
have
want
a
to say
50.
that,
50
it's enough time we should stop about this illegal refinery. Change the illegal to legal so that we have food in this country. We can't be announcing illegal arrested. Change it to legal. That is my take. Thank you.
Right.
Mr. Friday, that was a very harsh one. But anyway, let's see how that happens. But anyway, we're still on the Friday morning, and we're taking more of your papers. Hello, good morning to you. Hello? Well, anyway, the ladies' touch might do.
Yes, if you're just joining us here on the newspaper review on Quest today, the numbers are there for you to be able to call in.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hello? Yes, do well to step away from your radio or TV set to avoid connection interruptions, and the numbers are still 081 88 931 and 0022 931 931. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, please turn down the volume of your radio set.
Good morning.
All right, good morning. Welcome on board. Your name and your location.
Ahmed Johnson from Okpara Island.
All right, welcome. Please have your say.
Every time they arrest legal refinery, the way you have one full legally refinery in Nigeria, why are they arresting those ones? Instead of turning them to legally one to give us more fuel. We need petrol. We don't need this arrest. Why? Civilized nations develop those kind of people rather than arresting them. We don't have refinery. Are we not ashamed? That's my own this morning.
All right, thank you.
Well, we needed to arrest the issue as it concerns those first 50 persons have been arrested. But anyway, we'll come back to the papers. Let's quickly rush to Comrade Odomo. And as much as the controversy over the arrest, what seems to be a major one on the front page of the Punch is NNPCL end fuel import December 2024 project 4.5 trillion in revenue. And all their projection is hinged on the fact that they feel more refineries will come on board and we'll be saving a whole lot. Is this a cheering news or is just one to keep our hopes going?
No, I don't think it's one to keep our hopes going. I think Mr. President is committed to what he has said.
Okay. If
you look at the build-up to the elections, it's one of the slogans that they were using.
Okay.
And since he came into office, he has also ensured that more funds have been pumped into the revamping of the sector. Though he didn't start it, but I think it is he who ends the positive agenda that takes the glory. It's just like a football match. Everybody can score in a 5-5 penalty, but the last person to take the kick that gives the victory takes the whole accolade. Well, I should think that we should be positive. Mr. President will follow his words to the latter, and by that December, the refineries will come up, and it will ease most of these our problems. I am very positive about it.
Oh, well, good projection.
Going over into the international scene right now on the front page of the Daily Trust newspapers, it says war on Gaza, Israeli and Hamas ceasefire begins today. How long will this ceasefire last? And what is the point? I mean, are they not in the middle of a war?
You know, the international war is not fought with malice as such. You know, they are brothers from the beginning, but only their brothers must have a misunderstanding. And again, too, they are suffocating. The Gaza residents are suffocating, and those who actually caused the war are not the people who are actually suffering the punishment now, because they are hiding in the midst of the people. Some of them are ambulance drivers, some of them asked to be doctors in the hospitals, and they have their tunnels under the bridge, under the hospitals. And the international community is now telling them, look, let these people breathe a bit, let us breathe, give them some little space to at least fuel, eat, and do so many other things. The war is the truce is going to last for just about 4 days. But you know, I trust the Israelis for one thing. If there is any strike within this period from the opponent group, they will come out with a full force, irrespective of the 4 days that is given. You know, every war has a human face. You know, if you are fighting an international war, if you hit me today, I will give you the space and time for you to hit me tomorrow. Then we come back again and start fighting.
So in other words, this is basically let's go and drink water, catch our break, and come back and fight again.
It's a 15 minutes break out of a 90 minutes match.
Okay, well anyway, let's take let's take some calls and get more reactions as concerns the headlines on the dailies. Hello, good morning to you. Hello. Okay, I implore you to please call back, and when you do, please speak out a bit louder and also turn down the volume of your radio set. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning. Okay.
Yeah, good morning. Your name and where you calling us from, please go right ahead.
I'm Honorable Babu. I'm calling from Erie.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yes, my take this morning is on appeal court reverses tribunal judgment in against
yes, in Nasarawa.
Nasarawa.
Yes.
You see, the trend of this judiciary now is worrisome, because the judiciary is not want the common man to enjoy the truth of the flavor. People will vote and the judiciary will just come to their vote.
Okay, it looks as if we can barely hear you.
The way this country is going,
okay, we need to really discontinue on that.
Elections.
Okay, yeah, better now.
Cannot hold.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah, we are. Go ahead.
Yes. Elections in this country should be made mandatory. People will know that this is who we vote for.
Okay.
Not some silly person just sit down and think this man won.
Well, thank you so much, Ed. I doubt if we can take any more as it concerns your reactions to the headlines. Let's see if we have one more time. But before we do so, let's quickly come back to you. MBS report shows that families are spending so much on account of inflation, and not just again trying to get properties, but just recurrent seems to be taking the larger chunk of their income. 3.3%, a very scary one. Do you see this persisting up to next year?
If it will not persist until eternity,
Oh, come on.
We have to be factual.
Come on.
We have to be factual. What are you producing that you are expecting something that is reasonable at the end of the year? You can only base your projection based on what you are expecting. But what are we expecting? Nothing. Look at us at yesterday. All vehicle transportation have increased their cost of lifting people from one point to the other. That they have increased the cost of fuel, which is very correct. And some of them that were selling for about 620 as at yesterday, were going for 660. You see? So by the time you now start having all these ones, when you are saying that the inflation is this, is that, even the 3.3% they are talking about, I'm very sure it's a government face to make you and I believe that something positive is in the offing, of which I know that it will never be. Look at the food issue. Now in the north, which of the state you just mentioned just now, that bandits are imposing tax before you harvest. Is that not a minus already in the food sector? And when you cannot, when too many people are now chasing too few agricultural produce, what do you think will happen to the economy? It will have a direct negative pull on your finances. And the salaries, are they coming? How much is the salary in the first place? If you earn 150,000 now, assuming, and you have a family of 6, that is yourself, your wife, and 4 children, what can that do for you? Look at the school fees on the other side. That is the major problem. That is the biggest ectoparasite we have in the Nigerian economy today.
Well, anyway,
thank God, I'm no longer in that sector.
Okay, we will not take any virus or any parasite, but also will not take any calls because we're really done with time. But what we need to do is thank you so much, Comrade Efodomo, for coming and speaking so much, and rather coming and doing this with us. We really appreciate you for your time. Yeah. Okay, speaking so much, Grandma. But anyways, thank you so much, and we wish you a lovely weekend.
Yes, together with the Holy Bandits.
Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, the full gang will be going off, but remember, the big story will come next right here on Quest Today.